Well, let's get into game two. See if Spacestation Gold can bounce back here against CryptiK. CryptiK did find that first move of Agni in the Hunter role and Hachi man in the mid lane. It's a bit unusual because Hachi's not one of the most potent ones you'd expect in mid from a Hunter position either.
No, and don't forget, Yuji played very well on that Naja as well. He set up a lot and was able to bait a decent amount, and that's exactly where Spacestation's going to go with their first ban. And now that you're in the first pick position, you're in a much better spot to get King Arthur for yourself, which is always a good start. I think Uzzy had a pretty good game. He had multiple really good cages. It's just that the payoff for the cage really wasn't there from the composition.
It felt like I saw Kraken's on cooldown and Odin Ring on cooldown, but never at the same time.
Right.
Same for, I think the ultimate's a little bit off the mark for Spacestation Gold. They're Freya banned again by CryptiK. We've been talking about this, and I think she will be that first ban on the Chaos side consistently for a while until, like you said, somebody finally gives it a go and sees if someone can handle it. Because I guess you could leave King Arthur and Freya up then and go, well, which one do you want?
Yeah, you could, but starting next week, you have
Which
to worry
would you
about
choose?
Merlin, too. I think I'd take Arthur.
Yeah?
I think Arthur is the best god in the game at a competitive level right now. Obviously a hard god to play, but when you're really doing everything, he feels nearly unstoppable. I think Freya, while strong, probably isn't quite as good as King Arthur for competitive play.
There's a lot of gods that are being considered as the top bans at the moment and the top picks, which means there's going to be a few that get through into the pick section. Bacchus is one of those right now. Locked in first for Spacestation Gaming, more than likely going to the support role for Mattypocket, and in response, straight away, we see the Artio pickup, more than likely to answer that back.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Also the Agni, and this is again a flex in my mind. You could give it back to BennyQ, you could actually give it to Sops in the mid lane, but this is another god that Chapo's really familiar with in the mid lane, and when someone's making their competitive debut, at least for a while,
Uncomfortable.
you got to get them off their comfort gods.
Yeah.
I think Giannis and Agni are the two big ones for Chapo, and I like the CryptiK, especially after how well BennyQ played the later stages. The early stages, not so much, but in the later game, I think he played the team fights well.
Sol this time round as well. Interested to see whether that goes to Oswaald or goes to Chapo in the mid lane. But I do like the Guan Yu. It's someone that's starting to rise a little bit more from a lot of people's point of views. We saw it on console yesterday, and seen a bit more of it as the days progressing here. Guan Yu sustain, mana regen's really good at the moment. A lot of the items are giving plenty of sustain, plenty of cooldown reduction too. Guan Yu loves that sort of thing.
I think Guan Yu is worthy of a first overall pick right now. I think he's that good. I think he just brings so much to your team composition. You can put him in support. No, not over Arthur.
King Arthur to you, thank you. Just going to make that
right. Well, you said Arthur. So.
I'm allowed to.
Why is that?
I discussed that earlier on.
You did?
He was once my king, but he's dead, and we don't call Elizabeth I my queen anymore, do we?
Yeah, it's Queen Elizabeth I.
No, she's just Elizabeth I now.
Okay, well,
always.
What, is Arthur alive?
No, he's dead, so he's just called Arthur. He was a once
so I called him Arthur.
No, you have to be formal.
Right, my mistake.
That's right, get it right. Sobek, though, I like that pick, but at the same time, I'm interested in where he's going to go. Is that going to be like to stop Guan Yu solo? Is that what it's there for?
I don't know. This just feels like this is the hey, we're running out of bank time. Someone say something.
Sobek, quick!
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sobek.
What's going to be Guan? Anti-heal?
So just give me Sobek, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, Sobek's fine here. The anti-heal definitely will be relevant at some point, but not a whole lot that you're looking for. Susano Scylla. Scylla is a god that Chapo's played a good amount of in that mid lane. There is a decent amount of CC set up for him here. Not the most, but I think enough with this roster. Agni can find himself in trouble sometimes when falling behind against Scylla. I think this could work out, but with how rusty it seemed they were in game one and the lack of execution in the synergy between everybody else, I'm a little surprised to see such an execution-heavy god. I
think that's the thing with Spacestation Gaming comp here, though, is that because they feel like they're on the different pages at the moment, they've all got individual gods that can self-survive, self-escape situations, put themselves in good spots, and I guess that's a bonus, the best thing they could really do, I guess, given the situation. CryptiK, though, round it out with Batz, which is, he's been rising again back to popularity.
A little bit, yeah. Another guy that Yuji does seem to like a little bit in that jungle. I think it's fine. I think there's plenty of disruption and beads burners on this CryptiK team. So much CC. I really like it, and after the performance from Spacestation Gold in Game 1, I'm not sure that they're going to have the communication and teamwork necessary to take down CryptiK in Game 2.
So you reckon it's 2-0 to CryptiK here?
I think so. They looked like the better team.
Well, let's find out if that actually happens. It's John Finch and Anatoly.
It absolutely is. Game number 2. Glad to get one last look at our handsome co-workers as we move into the next game here. Spacestation Gold up against Team CryptiK. I guess we'll see if they can try and find some kind of way to win. And Mattypocket on the Bacchus this time, as opposed to going with the Artio. Chapo on the Scylla mid. They've got some strong picks, but how do they gel them all together, Toby?
They do have some strong picks, and Oswaald taking the magical damage approach. taking a page out of BennyQ's book a little bit, but a different style. Agni's more traditional mage. Oswaald playing the soul is more still technically a hunter. Can be built like a mage if you want, though.
Cernunnos has a dash. Maybe he'll dash. No.
No.
I was hoping he would dash to the wave again this time, but no, he wants to use the Bramble Blast this time, and I think that makes a lot of sense. It's a nice, safe range clear where you won't get nearly as punished.
Yeah, you're not gonna catch me memeing it this time around, Finch. They want this dub. They want to go home feeling good about themselves. But Oswaald taking a lot of damage already. Mattypocket, you're seeing that stun on your screen there because Bacchus got a little bit of a change there. Now being able to chug at level 1 gives you the amount of tipsy/drunk that you need just to apply the stun, the slow from the belly flop, and even get the passive effect of getting extra magical power and extra damage mitigation.
Mineral wants to be here, though, for the purple buff and not allow Spacestation Gold to grab this one for free. In fact, that's enough to force them off. Benny already level 2. They're going to go ahead and grab the larger purple camp for themselves and move back over to the wave without losing anything. Actually, Benny's kind of still lurking, maybe trying to bait Spacestation up?
No. Just kind of waiting. I think what he wanted to do is maybe allow Mineral to get one minion
to try and get to 2.
Solo experience just to get level 2. Knowing that both members from Spacestation Gold is still level 1, you can aggressively dash like that just to clear the way faster, so now you can do your own purple buff and still be in time for the next wave.
So dual lane pressure going to Team CryptiK this time. See if they can make it work out for them. Instead, they're going to fall back. We're over now to Uzzy on the solo side of the map, and we were wondering if we would still see a lot of Guardians over here in the solo lane now at the Totem of Ku, because Warrior is very likely to be able to get that pressure and attack it so quickly. The Totem of Ku is good, is enough to just change entirely who you're picking over there, though.
Sometimes you could. I mean, apparently not for some, because you're still going Guardians with Guardians Blessing, even in the form of Zearoe.
Right,
But
yeah.
the thing is, it brings a different factor. One has healing in Uzzy's Guan Yu, another has more control in Zero's Artio, and I'd rather be playing the Artio here to have all this control, because Uzzy, if he's getting crippled or stunned out, he's not going to have the opportunity to use that dash to reset some of his cooldowns.
He should be able, though, to get a little bit of extra love for his team. 25 gold. And, of course, to get in the MP5, a little bit of movement speed on the towers themselves.
So I think that's the second one that Spacestation has gotten thus far. So a total of 250 extra gold for his teammates.
It's pretty nice to be able to have it all. Oswaald, once again, gets hit by the Bramble Blast. Some free damage from Mineral. No way to line up any further punishment than that, though, so they fall back to parity. Remember in the last game, Tully, what happened was that Spacestation Gold overcommitted onto a lot of engagements. They end up getting punished for that. They are on some safer picks this time. The Soul with the Disapparate, the dash is there for Champo to get him out of there, easy for mastery position. Maybe they won't get as punished hard this time.
They are doing a better job thus far, just not kind of forcing anything yet. But at the same time, they're getting outpaced in the jungle clear, just now getting their red buff. Champo picking that up, whereas Sops is going to be able to solo farm that for himself. So every time you're sharing this experience, I think it's just going to favor out Sops the same way he was kind of playing this Hachiman last game. Sops wins the race to that level 5 marker and still elects to go for this Aegis option as well as Yuji.
We saw them use it to their advantage last game, right? Where Benny was left alone to farm on the Agni almost the entire game. He was safely able to survive the gank, so because of that, he was able to get a nice natural lead, and Sops was still able to do well even though he was splitting farm. I wonder if they'll do the same thing with Benny, even though he's on a more traditional hunter, or if that was just an Agni special to try and help out the mage.
An interesting thing that Uzzy's building into, probably going to be the Blackthorn Hammer, but considering he's against Zero's Artio, surprised that's not going to be a Genji's Guard rush instead. Would rather have more physical power just for the damage.
There'll be some trouble for Benny this time, though. He has Yuji coming over along with Mineral, but it's Fear No Evil that controls just about everyone in Oswaald. Can't find the damage to flop off the mark as well, and that means that Benny's going to make it out. Mattypocket is certainly dead to rights here. What a play from CryptiK in the duo lane.
You're going to find the last hit. Yuji needs it, but Mineral's like, nah, not this time. He was afraid that the belly flop would have come off cooldown, and that would have been an easy escape for Mattypocket. So 2 free picks, what it looked like, honestly, with the rotation from Yuji, and we talked about the lack of rotation from Mast in the duel lane the last game, but not showing any signs of slowing down from Yuji in game number 2.
Absolutely not. That's part of what can make Unbot's so strong is that Fear No Evil, it really does feel like he comes alive on level 5 more than even some other junglers because of how strong Fear No Evil is. And it not only saves the life as Chapo nearly falls to the damage from Sops, it saves the life of his hunter and sets up 2 kills.
I like that play from Sops there. He was kind of putting Chapo in this weird position where he's guaranteed going to get stunned and bombed, or he's forced to use the beast just to escape.
Uzzy is able to make it up over the wall, but the Aegis keeps him alive even though he gets hit by the Typhoon, and now Mass is pushed forward. It is just Zearoe here, though, to try and capitalize by himself, so he might have a chance to get out, or maybe it's not just him. Sops has made the rotation as well. They turn their attention to Uzzy, but not a lot they can do to a Guan.
It forced the bees out of Mast, and still yet again getting himself another Totem of Q, this time with the help of Sops. Gonna secure that last hit on that one, and I think that Sops has been making some really great plays already. Not finding a kill on either side, but forcing the beads on the right side, forcing Chapo to back to base prematurely, has the 1 level lead now for Sops.
He's had some great plays so far. We'll see if we can keep it going. Remember, in game 1, he was the one that was able to have an impressive performance in the middle lane for them as well on the Hachiman. His Mask gets away for some more damage. Sops, right when we sang your praises, you might be in trouble, gets pulled back in, and Mask cleans up that kill.
The cripple into the pull. This is the one downfall of going Aegis and not the purification beads. You have to avoid every single form of CC, and Agni doesn't have any natural CC immunity, so once you get caught in that cripple, you're pretty much dead to rights.
I'm looking at these, all the magic damage dealers for Spacestation Gold, and there's pin boots all the way down the line, even for the Bacchus. And I get it, Bacchus could do a lot of damage, especially it could be oppressive early. We'll hold that thought, though, as Zearoe is able to avoid the ultimate coming out from Chapo. Benny will fall elsewhere to Oswaald. Zearoe trying to turn it back around onto Uzzy, but he should certainly be able to fall. Chapo slows him down, and Uzzy gets the kill.
A little bit of a zoning ultimate at the end of the day, but still, at least another kill on the left side. So not only finding one on the right as BennyQ gets taken out, and that's kind of what Spacestation Gold need, that separation between these two ADCs, whether it's physical or magical, is irrelevant because Oswaald can do probably a better job than BennyQ can in terms of melting these objectives.
Yeah, with just these autos, yeah, Soul is very, very good at that at this point once you get to that heat built up. So now we're seeing a little bit more signs of life from Spacestation Gold after finding kills in both of the side lanes, and now it falls back to CryptiK to see if they can normalize this out. They had slowly built up some pressure, had some control over the jungle. Now a chance for Spacestation to erase all that.
Getting themselves 3-way split experience in the mid lane. Yet again, Sops just casually farming it away by himself. He should hit level 9 momentarily. Mattypocket gonna get plucked away, but just not in range for BennyQ because he was afraid of Chapo getting that root crush combination.
Just barely able to outrun the Sikkim there from Chapo. Means he will be okay as Uzzy once again should be able to grab the Totem of Ku. Chapo's still kind of hanging around where there's 3 members of CryptiK, but he's not going to actually push in there. No way he can up against 3. Matty might have BennyQ caught unawares, but no, he has the dash, and that's enough room.
If they wanted to commit to that kill, it would have definitely had to have been a tower dive, and having BennyQ use the ultimate, it cancels Belch of the Gods. It's not really worth it. Might as well farm the wave and look for some pick elsewhere. It could be in the mid lane. We haven't really seen that kind of pressure except onto Chapo and Sops on the one time, but it hasn't been the result of Mattypocket or Mineral quite yet.
Unfortunate. Chapo just kind of lowers down the mid camps for Yuji to claim them there on that right-hand side. I was going to ask earlier if you like the pin boots here this early on. We've seen a lot of tank boots being built sometimes, even cooldown early on. How do you like this option here for Matty?
Oh, I love it, because there's just going to be plenty of tick damage with Belch of the Gods. I believe it takes 4 times total, and that extra penetration going to go a long way. It's a bursty composition. It's not just Mattypocket that has the damage. Chapo and Oswaald. The thing is, I kind of want to see a Void Stone now out of Mattypocket here. Normally you would build the Guardian in the solo lane with a Void Stone, but when you're having Chapo play Scylla, Oswaald play Soul, it's almost a crime if you don't build a Void Stone.
And we didn't get to see it happen early on, but they got that kill into Benny, and I have to wonder if that was because there was some aggression here in this duo lane from Matty and Oswaald. I mean, this is how they're building. That's exactly how they want to play it. It looks like they are going to be leaving Benny alone again and have Mineral doing a little bit more rotating than Matty, and that might be a chance for them to find some damage there, or even in these 3v3 fights in the mid lane.
CryptiK less in the kill counter, but more in the gold, and most of that is coming down to some of these neutral objectives. More oracles their way, more of the Totem of Qs. and I think that's what's going to be helping them out if they can continue finding picks.
A bunch of damage for Champo already as Sops commits the bombs. They want to be here, though, for the spawn of the red buff as Fear No Evil is able to find Mass. He has a chance to respond with the Typhoon. Sops gets the kill anyway, but Yuji falls to Champo, who hits it over the wall.
Good route, but I'm a monster just off the mark. Waited a little bit too long, unfortunately, for Champo. Now Supernova coming out, as does Uzzy, forcing out Lurking in the Water.
Way ahead of Zearoe, who's off in the Bermuda Triangle. Champo just barely gets away from the damage from Sops, and that keeps him alive, which makes it 1-for-1 jungle for jungle. But now Zearoe's joining the fray.
Oh, Champo, he was televisioning on the left-hand side. He doesn't respect the rotation coming out of Zearoe.
Zearoe just barely sticks around long enough to clean up the kill and gets away from Uzzy. That was perfectly timed. Sops is doing so much damage, though, in these engagements. This Agni has been a nightmare for them so far. Great damage to keep everyone low and allow for Zearoe to clean up.
Finch, you ever watch those horror movies where you as the audience member know what's exactly going to happen to the main character, but the main character has no idea that the kill is like right there?
They just won't turn around or
something like that. Yeah, like they're not turning
right?
around. They're like casually like, you know, brushing their hair in the mirror that's, or not even in the mirror, like it's opened, the medicine cabinet, and then they close the medicine cabinet and they see the killer behind them. That's exactly what happened when Zearoe was rotating from the right side of the map. Champo was just so worried about getting that root crush combination from rotating members around that left side mid camps that it just cost Champo his life.
And it's the same thing that I feel like plagued them in game one, right? If you're just saying who got there first, it was clearly Uzzy by a lot, and they couldn't capitalize on that initial time when they had the Guan Yu there and the Artio wasn't a part of the fight. It lasted long enough, and they couldn't get enough out of it that Zearoe eventually was able to come over and just play cleanup.
Well, they did punish Yuji for his transgressions. He was just too far forward. They got the pick there, but the problem was they didn't find the reset when they really needed to. They kept trying to go onto Mineral for a little bit longer. The route was really good from Champo, but he waited so long on his I'm a monster that by the time he actually decided to use it, the route had faded away and Mineral was able to walk away from it.
That's right. Not having that ultimate in that fight hit home does also limit a lot of what Spacestation Gold can do, so that's got to be a little bit more consistent. That whole fight, though, if you recall, was over the red buff yet again. In these early stages of the game, that can often be the place where you see these fights. It's the buff that's most easily contestable and very impactful if you can strip it away, and that was Yuji forcing the issue as Champo gets away from Mineral.
Got his juke shoes on in that one, got off a little bit of damage with a crush, and walks away from any sort of danger. Mattypocket wanting to force something there with a nice Intoxicate, but nobody else is close enough to follow up. Zearoe is zoning away Champo.
Now he's stuck in between four and going to get knocked up by the Typhoon. Uzzy wants to keep this train going as the Supernova comes through, and there Champo cleans up. Champo gets the reset with a double, but Sops takes him down. 2-for-1 so far in favor of Space Station.
What a beautiful play from everyone out of Space Station, but now they need to reset, heal up with the Guan Yu, and maybe force out this objective, but they have to remember that Yuji didn't use his ultimate in that last encounter.
It felt like that time Zearoe might not have realized just what potential there was for the collapse. He was pushing forward looking for Champo, but they just turned around and locked him down, and then they committed. Supernova and I'm a Monster came over to make sure they got those kills.
Not using the 4-on-3 power play for the Gold Fury. At this point, the respawn timers were long enough that they could have maybe forced it or at least bait out CryptiK in a bad situation and then get the reset. The thing is, with Uzzy having Blackthorn's hammer, you should be looking for team fights. You have cooldown reduction, but at the same time, I think they're waiting for the bigger power spike play. And to be fair, it is a significant one. And once Genshi's guard is completed for Uzzy, he's a different kind of raid boss entirely.
It will be very difficult to take the Guan Yu down at that point. Even in the last set, I think we saw Guan Yu can certainly reach those points where he feels unkillable as the Totem of Ku still around. This might be just about the last spawn of it, depending on how long it takes them to kill as well, as CryptiK still enjoys a slight lead here at this point in the game.
There's no way Uzzy can now successfully strip away that because of how much AoE damage Zearoe has. And the Talucell can get stunned out every which way. So that race was never going to go in Uzzy's favor. I think it's more important to just look for rotations or look for proxy farm. You clear the wave, you go to proxy a wave, and then you be the first one to make the deciding factor on this Gold Fury. Which is what Zearoe is doing now. He's actually going to be the first one there.
Trying to see if they can defend it as the rest of Space Station Gold are going to fall back. BennyQ has the Blood Forge here as his first item. It's something that we've been seeing, I feel like, a little bit more of. especially on some of these gods who can kind of lean a little bit into the ability. You get so much power from it, though it is kind of expensive to be that first item.
It really is, but there is some merit to it. It has a lot of physical power, and that's what BennyQ is relying on for some of his abilities.
Mattypocket is going to be the front line. Takes a bit of damage, but really no hard commit just yet. This is the battle around the Gold Fury that you were foreshadowing earlier, Tully, and Uzzy's already here. Zearoe, though, should be making his way shortly. He's coming in from the base. So if they choose to stick this out, it'll be the 5v5. But remember, the Guan Yu heals favor Space Station.
That's right. Voidstone completed for Zearoe. He's trying to set up somebody. Mattypocket going to get plucked in. No real follow-up. Being able to belly flop away from the Agni bomb, but Uzzy going to land it on top of Zearoe.
And Zero's the target early on. I'm a Monster lands. Chapo has been accurate since those ones he missed earlier on in the game. Now looking for the next target. Can't find it in between everyone else, and so he'll have to fall back. But a 5v4 advantage for Space Station.
And this should be a clear-cut victory because not only did they find the one player, but they also did significant damage onto Mineral, onto Sops. They got to get this Gold Fury.
And they have to make sure they're able to do it cleanly. Yuji still has Fear No Evil, and that hits 4 members to separate him, but Chapo doesn't care. He responds, but you're right. CryptiK claimed the Gold Fury. 3 fall, though, on the side of Team CryptiK, and SSG can keep pushing. In fact, Sops now in some trouble. Aegis keeps him alive.
Oh, my goodness. Sops surviving was so clutch. Their mask not wanting to give this one up. Wind Siphon does confirm it onto Sops, and they're going to chase BennyQ till the end of the world, Finch.
What a good fight from Space Station. The only problem with that is that they weren't able to confirm the Gold Fury on top of it, and that's tough when you have a Fear No Evil in the middle of everyone. But BennyQ is certainly going to be chased. Things do not look good for the young man.
That was just enough of a distraction that they needed to get the steal. BennyQ knew he was dead. He might as well pick up some farm, and why not pick up the farm from your enemy's backcamps?
That's exactly right. But another good fight from Space Station that does kind of show some of the potential. It is hard not to notice that when these I'm a Monsters are connecting, that the fights do seem to go much better for Space Station. And it's just so much damage. He didn't get anything off the reset that time, but when they got the clean pick on Zearoe, things were much better for him after.
That's the main focus, is going to be Zearoe with the damage out of Chapo. Having plenty of burst damage. Bancroft's Talon, Spear of Desolation. Zearoe only has Void Stone right now, tier 1 version of what I'm expecting is to be a Pestilence. There needs to be anti-healing from CryptiK, trying to mitigate some of Uzzy's healing. And also, it's one of the most cost-effective magical defense items outside of, like, Onis.
Onis, we can see picked up elsewhere. Looks like they're from Mineral in response to the fact that really the core from Space Station is all magical, thanks to Oswaald and Chapo both being on mages at this point in the game. And that's how we're seeing Zearoe even start to build into a little bit more magic defense. I think he's recognized he's fallen one too many times to I'm a monster and wants to try and prevent that from happening again.
Mattypocket going for a different approach, not going for a very selfish approach with the Onis, but instead going for more auras with the Heartward Amulet. A little bit old school build. I'm not entirely in love with it. It has some merit in the form of MP5 for yourself because the Bacchus mana does go down very quickly if you're just not really paying attention to it. But at the same time, you got to worry about a lot of factors when you're playing support. There's so many different builds to worry about.
It's a lot.
And I think that the most optimal thing that he could have done was going for the Void Stone, trying to amplify Chapo and Oswald's damage.
Yeah, it feels like one of the more open build paths right now. Supports and warriors, they really have a lot of options on how exactly they want to build. And Matty's gone with a tried and true, but as you said, it kind of feels old school, right? To do just the Sov Heartward old school combination for Matty. We'll see if it works out for him. He's a little bit behind Mineral, but still very much relevant on this Bacchus and plenty tanky.
Looking for a little bit of action on the left-hand side. BennyQ gonna get pulled in, using that ultimate defensively, but that Typhoon is gonna outlast the Aegis.
Hey, Mass still has it, as he plays very well up against BennyQ over on that left-hand side.
It only took him 18.5 minutes to gank the dueling.
It is nice, though, when you are able to take down the Cernunnos. You know, I'm surprised that we're seeing Cernunnos being picked here, but not with the Rune Force. I thought that was a part of what brought back the Cernunnos so much into the meta. It looks like a more traditional, well, I say traditional, but it's Blood Forge first time.
You know, who are we to question what BennyQ builds or doesn't build at the end of the day? There's just so many good Hunter builds as well. We were talking about the Warriors.
Hunters
and
have options,
we're talking about the Hunters and the supports and the Warriors, but BennyQ, he's just in the realm of his own right now.
He's doing his own thing as Chapo, unable to land the Sikkim, and ends up taking the damage from the Agni and gets followed by Yuji. Overhand smash means no, I'm a monster, and he makes it out cleanly. A very nice pick to respond to the one that went on to Benny earlier.
And this pick is more important than the pick that was done onto BennyQ, because now There's a little bit of a grouping trying to catch out Mattypocket. The cripple prevents the belly flop, getting off a little bit of poke damage. Yuji looking for follow-up, not connecting on the monkey toss.
Is able to get away from it, but you're so right. These kills led Team CryptiK right to the Pyromancer and a chance for an objective. Uzzy goes in on top of the horse to slow them down, and now Zearoe left on the front line, but he can tank it, and now Matty pulled back in. Some damage there, but the big one is the Fear No Evil coming out from Yuji to spread everybody out. That's in Spacestation Gaming running for the hills.
Forcing everyone to run in the same corridor. Chapo just now about to respawn, so a good ultimate from Uzzy just delays this long enough, even forcing the ultimate out of Yuji to reset. It does still allow CryptiK to pick up the Pyromancer, but this could have been done so much sooner, and that's kind of Spacestation's goal, is just mitigate some of the bleeding and maybe find some stragglers.
And I see why Unbot's been making a resurgence. Fear No Evil feels so good, but yeah, I don't know about this Fire Giant.
They have no vision. Spacestation Gold do not control sentry vision on this Fire Giant pit.
And they're hard committing to this call. I get it if they don't come back, but now that they're here, they're going to keep going anyway. They want Zearoe first and foremost. Chapo is able to find the damage onto Mineral, but it's nowhere near enough. Zearoe has tanked so much on the back end of the fight that Spacestation have to settle for just that one pick.
They do find the pick, but Chapo is extremely low that CryptiK can still find another team fight if they really wanted to. Uzzy's healing is going to be very impactful to continue some of this sieging. So it did look a little dicey, Finch, but at the end of the day, Chapo lives, Zearoe dies, Spacestation Gold get a tier 1 tower, and they're looking for a tier 2.
The important part is that I think they cleanly made and followed the call to get up the Fire Giant and just commit onto Zearoe, which ends up working. Now they do want to threaten the tier 2 tower, but Yuji is waiting and almost has his ultimate back up. That could be a problem as Mattypocket gets locked down underneath the tower, and there it is, Fear No Evil on the 4.
No relics onto Chapo, getting himself a double kill. Mattypocket getting taken out by Sops. There goes the blink, and a nice little triple for the Hunbats.
Yeah, Fear No Evil's a good ability, Tully, it turns out. Very good job coming on the backside of the tier 2
you're
tower.
telling me that a huge circle ultimate where it displaces people in opposite directions?
Yeah, a predictable fear that pushes them out from the center. Yeah, it turns out that's pretty good.
On like less than 90-second cooldowns?
It came back up pretty quick, didn't it, as CryptiK grabbed the FG. And just like that, now this game feels like it's in firmly CryptiK's control.
Yes. Just like that. Yuji's ultimate has come in clutch in more than one instance.
Absolutely.
And I think that he's displaying the Hunbats very well, honestly, because this is a well-forgotten god. Keep in mind, Cubo Fred would love this god at the end of the day, before some of the changes even to him. And it just goes to show that the assassin pool is not limited in any way.
It is a little bit deeper, I think, than some people might consider. It feels like a lot of the time there's so much pressure to pick what the meta pick is, but this is how it opens back up. You know, when you can see a little bit more of guys like Batz come in and show you what they can do well. Now with that relic dagger, he'll even be able to blink more often, on top of the fact that his ultimate will be up as well.
Also love the Mad Guy's cloak pick up, making sure that he's not going to get disrupted after the blink.
That's impressive, coming out in favor of Yuji. They've got Fire Giant on all 5 members. It was around the 21-minute or so mark, 22-minute mark, so that means it won't be the enhanced version, but it'll still be plenty good. And totally, look how many towers there are for them to still go grab. That is money in the bank waiting on Team CryptiK to push this gold lead out even further.
That's right, 4,500 gold. Make that 5,000 after a tier 1 fall. Just waiting for them to be picked up total. Gold Fury was stripped away, so just going to probably go for some Phoenixes after they spend all their gold, if they can successfully get these tier 2 towers.
Yeah, it looks like Spacestation wants to defend on the tier 2. A lot of the times you see a soft defense, but this one's for real. Matty gets pulled back in, and he's shredded already. He's barely able to flop his way back out, but Mineral only pays half his life, and that means the tier 2 should be opened up.
And Yuji didn't even go on that engagement the whole time. Sops taking a lot of damage. Uzzy just going to stun out Mineral, but that tier 2 tower is on its last legs. Without Mattypocket and Uzzy's ultimate, I don't see how Spacestation hold much longer.
Or even why they should. This is a tier 2 tower in name only. It really is not going to provide much by way of defense. Only a couple shots from Benny would really be necessary to finally bring this one down, as Team CryptiK want to force it.
Yuji has the blink, has the ultimate. When is he going to pull the trigger?
That's going to start things off. Next, they're going to move in Zearoe, but it's really Yuji that locks everyone down. Mattypocket has nowhere to go. Not much going to come from Chapo's ultimate, and they're going to look for Uzzy next. The Bramble Blast is good, but it won't lock them down. It's actually going to be Yuji who teleports in using the Monkey Toss, and that spells the end of Chapo.
Chapo had the beats, but just too late to use it, getting flopped around like a rag doll. 2 picks and the middle. Phoenix, CryptiK not slowing down, transitioning over to the tier 2 tower on the right side.
It really feels like this got away from them all at once on the back of that Fire Giant push. That works out for them. They get the pick on Zearoe, but not the tier 2 tower push afterwards.
So clearly, Spacestation Gold can see offensive plays lining up. When they when they forced the Fire Giant, knowing that they can kill Zearoe and still get out, that was all fine and dandy. But the problem is, after the fact, that tier 2 tower siege, they didn't respect the Hunbat's ultimate when they were the ones sieging on the right-hand side. Yuji makes the defensive play, and now it's time for Spacestation Gold to play defense on their own tier 2 tower. They were holding it for as long as humanly possible, holding on so long that it was at 1% life, but yet again, Yuji goes in, blinks on the back line, and the rest is history. 2 clean picks.
And it feels like to me, if what it seems like is they're on the same page for plan A, but as soon as they start having to move through the decision tree afterwards, if it doesn't go exactly the way that it needed to, that's when it looks like maybe it breaks apart a little bit communication-wise, right? How well can we disengage if we didn't get what we looked for initially? Can we really still force down this tier 2? Is anyone keeping an eye on where Yuji's at? That stuff doesn't seem like it's quite there yet.
No, definitely not. And I think a lot of it also comes down to the vision control, because when Space Station forced that Fire Giant, they didn't have any vision whatsoever. They were just confident in making that call and that play in its own right, as CryptiK controls. If we take a look at the wards place, I'm just curious between all of these players, how 11 for both. Actually, Chapo and Oswaald, actually more than CryptiK, but I think on average, right there, you're seeing Yuji, you're seeing also Mineral, and on top, Sops having 10 each.
Yeah, it's not bad from once they get around that middle of the road mark. But with the Fire Giant having fallen off, CryptiK is gonna slow down this push for now. This should give Space Station some time to try and regroup a little bit, Tully, to try and slow things down and decide how they want to play this defense. But I mean, all of a sudden, it's a 14,000 gold deficit, and we're getting, you know, into the late game a little bit, but it's not to the point yet where this gold lead won't matter. There's still 4.5 items there for Oswaald, only 5 there for Uzzy. They're still going to be able to feel the impact of not having as much gold as CryptiK.
It's all going to come down to how long these team fights last. The longer it lasts, the better for Space Station, between the healing from Uzzy, between the consistent damage coming out of Chapo and Oswaald, honestly. But I think that CryptiK is not waiting around for much longer to make these team fights last long. They have plenty of burst damage in their own right.
Well, how do you need to see Space Station play this defense then? Because you got to imagine CryptiK's going to come down this duo side where the last tower is. A big ultimate from Chapo maybe, or Mass finding a pick. I mean, what are they trying to build around?
Honestly, it's difficult because Space Station Gaming's frontliners are all almost engaged frontliners, right?
Right, there's no one really peeling.
Cavalry charging in, Mass is looking for some kind of engage. Mattypocket has plenty of just ideas about being offensive, so somebody out of the 3 needs to sit back and protect Chapo. Normally it's Uzzy that's going to engage first with a cavalry charge, simply because of how much cooldown reduction he has. He can also get it back by using his abilities. So keep Mattypocket in the backline, keep Mask in the backline, maybe try to get Uzzy to pop the Mad Guy's cloak on Yuji, so that way when Yuji blinks in, he's going to get CC'd by somebody.
It could be a little bit easier to maybe try and control him and slow him down, but I think that's it. It is trying to make sure Chapo lives, and then right at the end you hit it, trying to keep some eyes on Yuji. He's been such a nightmare in these engagements with the Fear No Evil. If they can know where this Unbox is coming from and plan around a little bit better, they have a chance. They just got the Mad Guy's cloak and good poke, so that should make things a little bit easier.
Just keep him in combat. If Mask can isolate Yuji in the 1v1, it's up to the rest of the 4 Space Station members to just hold net neutral on the left-hand side.
Well, no, Yuji just walked away from him. Now he's making the rotation in. This could spell some problems, as they do force the Typhoon out from Mask very early on, but it's Mineral who's still way in the back line. Fear No Evil, not quite as good this time. That's good signs.
It definitely is, but they're all retreating. CryptiK running away, in Space Station Gold still lose their left side Phoenix at the end of the day anyway.
Mineral way low on the backside of the fight, but now that things have slowed down, they can try and group up around Uzzy and get the heal, go back to the fountain, and be here for the defense on the mid Phoenix, which is respawned. But I don't know if they're set in time. There's a full minion wave here. Sops getting it shot, and the mid Phoenix goes down.
It definitely does. Chapo forced to use the bees. Finally uses the Sentinel to get away. Mattypocket gonna get plucked back in, but he belly flops up and down. Mask goes down. Mattypocket goes down. BennyQ taken out in one, so it's now a 5-on-3 to hold on to the dear life of game 2.
Should be in favor here of Team CryptiK. That's a big crush coming out from Chapo, but Sops finds a double, taking down both. It's just Oswaald left up against 3 members to try and keep his team's hopes alive, to try and force a game 3, but there's so many fire minions pouring in from every direction. Oswaald can't do enough. Deicide, and that's the game and the set. CryptiK 2-0.
A very close matchup if you look at the score-wise, 17-15,
Right.
but honestly, having almost a 20,000 gold lead at the very end of it can be deceiving as CryptiK finds the 2-0 victory.
They absolutely can. I think that there were just a couple key moments in each game where it started to get away from Spacestation Gold. They got a little bit to clean up, and I think you can see there's a base there where they can start to build from. They've got some good ideas at the beginning, but maybe a little more communication as things start to deteriorate.
That's true, and it's only week number 1, Finch. There's still plenty of room for adaptation to see what they can learn from this first week to try to move for more victories in week 2.
It's going to be close in the minor league totally in both regions, Europe and North America, both looking competitive. Let's get it back over to the desk. They can break down the set we just saw.
Thanks so much, Finch and Anatoly. Yeah, we did see the set, and one thing I will say about it is the classes, I feel, are on the right page here. I mean, there was signs of life from Space Station. They actually had the lead for a decent portion of that game, and then a couple of mistakes here and there, and it turned on its head.
It really felt like just one mistake. That Tier 2 tower siege on the right-hand side, there's doing that without any relics and without any ward coverage going into the jungle. Or minions.
They had them, they just didn't put them in the tower.
And Yuji just gets to come in and clean up a fight pretty easily. It definitely the right ideas. It was just a couple things that, again, it's the little things that'll lose you games at the minor league level, and the pro league level, it's even the smaller things that'll lose you games. But I think that overall, Space Station should come away feeling like Game 1 was not a particularly good performance from them. They can learn a lot from that. Game 2, a couple mistakes cleaned up here or there, and they're able to win that game. On the other side, I think that CryptiK should come away feeling pretty good. They worked well together as a unit, and you got to see 2 different ways to win a game from them. You got to see them winning all game long in Game 1, and then in Game 2, the ability to come back and capitalize on a mistake.
I was going to say, I wasn't really on the same train as you coming into the minor league North America when you said, Armada, Sanguine, the top 2. I didn't really think that. I thought CryptiK Space Station might slip in there, but after today's performances, I actually think you're bang on. I do think they're probably the top 2 teams, Armada and Sanguine now. And these guys are going to have to scrap to get to that next level.
Yeah, I think that Sanguine you can just tell that Sanguine's put the most work in so far. That's a team that's been scrimming consistently over the last few weeks, maybe even the past 2 months together as a unit. They've been working together really well as a team, and I think that maybe eventually the individual skill from other teams may shine through, but even then I think that Sanguine's really talented down to an individual. I think Sanguine's a really good team, and that CryptiK and Space Station have a lot of room to catch up in just teamwork alone.
And talking about these teams a little bit more, the interesting fact is that Sanguine will take on Space Station Gaming next week in this minor league matchup for them, and obviously that means that Armada will take on CryptiK. So if everything goes as planned, Sanguine, Armada may win. Let's have a little look at the standings, however, and see how it all played out.
Yeah, this is going to be a good matchup between Sanguine and Space Station Gold next week, and to see who's going to stay undefeated between CryptiK and Armada in North America. But in Europe, Out Cold Gaming and Flashpoint should be matching up pretty soon. That's the good thing about having only 4 teams, is that you get a lot of those matchups pretty quickly.
We do, and I think the top 4 teams in EU are not necessarily closer, but I think there's a little bit more to play for there. Less of a divide, I would say, between the top and the bottom.
More competitive.
Yeah, I guess it's the best way to put it.
I think it's just a stronger region overall. Maybe you can make the argument that Armada is the best minor league team across either region. I don't know that you would be winning that argument outright, but it's certainly right there with Out Cold. But I think Europe, top to bottom, is a stronger region in the minor league right now.
And the one thing about the minor league as well is, some of these players won't necessarily stay here all year. They may move back to the pro league, or new players may come in all the time.
That's
sort
right.
of a filter system. We'll see how that plays out, though. After console yesterday and minor league today, Ryan, how have you seen Season 6 so far?
I think we've only seen 1 Guardian in the solo lane, which is a big switch up from Season 5. It was only Maniac and Cerberus. Oh, you're right. We saw some Artio today, so a little bit more. Sorry, Hindu. Less Guardians overall.
Day 2 making mistakes.
Whatever, man.
What a joker.
That's
It's going to be a hell of a long season. That's it for us today, though. We're going to be back next week on Monday for the Console League once again. And once again, this time next week, we'll be back for more minor league action. And not so long till the Pro League starts. Stay tuned, stay with us. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. We'll see you next week.
Peach it.